BioPharma Inc. trades on the OTC Pink sheets under the symbol RGBP. It's a biotech company focused on developing innovative treatments using autologous cell therapies, RNA and DNA-based immunotherapy, and small molecules in the immune-oncology and autoimmune disease space. Please welcome President and CEO David Koos and Senior Scientific Consultant Harry Lander. Nice to see you, gentlemen.
Well, good morning. It's all chipper out here on the West Coast.
Lovely. You're okay after that earthquake?
That was nothing.
Okay.
I was on the phone out in my backyard, and that hit. My little basset hound came out there and stared at me like, "What's going on?" And I said, "No big deal." And she calmed down right away.
Okay, good.
So it was just like an e-ticket ride at Disneyland. I guess that's dating myself. Anyway, so I thought that what we would do this morning, there's been a few moving parts on what's going on. So I thought I'd bring everybody up to speed on that, so we can get a clear handle as to where things sit and what's going on. And with that, so we raised a bunch of money with the Regen, and then we got a comment letter from the SEC regarding the Regen and Regen because we filed this Form 15 back in December, making us non-reporting with the SEC. And unfortunately, dating back to something like 2016, 2018, somewhere in that neighborhood, we had done an S8 offering for a consultant and didn't close it out, never closed it out. So the SEC pointed out to us that we would have to bring the company fully current in its reporting in order to at that point, if we wanted to, we could file a Form 15. But we were otherwise delinquent. So I got busy, got an auditor, and we're moving rapidly through all the audits and other filings that we've needed to make since we thought we were no longer reporting. Not a huge issue. It's costly and it's time consuming, and it does mean that we're a little delayed in our fundraising because the Regen can't be cleared until we've caught up with all our reporting requirements. That being said, we expect to have that done in the next couple, 3 weeks. So we should be good to go after that. I think the big benefit to us is that we will have everything cleaned up, and we then can take advantage of things in terms of financing that are not available to companies that are not fully reporting with the SEC. So it's a good and a bad thing. Good from the standpoint that we're opening up more avenues for us. Bad from the standpoint that it's a delay. And I've been on the phone numerous times with the CRO, giving them updates as to what's going on, because by this time we expect to be fully immersed in the clinical phase 1. But because of this comment letter from the SEC, we haven't been able to do so. But like I said, I expect to close that out fairly quickly. Nothing has changed from our standpoint in terms of the CRO. We're happy with them. Moving things along. with phase one. I view that as the next step once we've cleared things up with the SEC. And yeah, may end up adding 2 or 3 months to phase one. But that's kind of out of my control at this point. It's unfortunate in some regards, but I'm actually happy that it's put us in a position to clean up, or not clean up, but to actually get all of our financials in order and get the company back to fully reporting status with the SEC. I've had a lot of comments, both pro and con. It's more economical to be alternative reporting in OTC markets, but there's a certain, I guess, comfort factor that exists among people that believe that being fully reporting with the SEC was very important to us. So either way, we'll set that aside and just move forward and get things to where they should be. I'm extremely excited about Heme Accelerate and getting into its clinical phase one. I think that I get up and I read the biotech news and what's going on in the world out there, and I see that once we have a therapy that's been approved for treating the side effects of chemotherapy, that's great for our shareholders, but more importantly, that's extremely good news for that population out there that is suffering from all those horrific side effects. Now, I don't know, Harry, if I'm just going to dump this in your lap, as I like to do. Can you kind of hit on a couple of the main side effects from chemotherapy so that everybody's sort of aware as to what we're going to address?
Yeah, I mean, and really more important is the number of people who get chemotherapy. So, you hear a lot about new treatments for cancers, which are wonderful, directed therapies, radiotherapies, surgery, but 50% of all cancers are still treated with chemotherapy. So that's a first-line treatment for very common cancers like colon cancer, and so the side effects of that, depending upon the person, can be very, very severe. Neutropenia is the biggest is the most common and most toxic side effect. So having something to prevent that, to restore your bone marrow is very, very much needed. And the Heme Accelerate is a potentially great product.
Yeah, I think that it seems like if we can address an issue like that, ameliorate the side effects, and the company makes a lot of money doing that, those are all positive things. We're not sitting here coming up with some pipe dream type thing. We have a real therapy that can really make a difference, and I'm really excited about that. I am less excited about this tedious going back and forth with the audits that we're doing, mainly because it's very tedious, and I don't see that being something that's moving us towards the finish line in moving into clinical phase one. But it's a necessary thing that we have to do, and there's no getting around that. To not do this, we would potentially risk being delisted at some point. And that's not something I want to see happen. So instead, we're going to take a little time out, get the audits all in order, and get the company where it needs to be from the SEC standpoint, and then we can move forward with clinical phase 1. So it's from a strategic standpoint, it all falls into place. Everything is moving along at a certain cadence, and that's the way it is. The one thing that I have been excited about is I have been contacted by the institutions that had either sent in money or showed interest in the Reg A, and they're all standing there very excited. So I'm happy to move that forward. That doesn't look like it's jeopardizing anything in terms of the financing. So it should be a kind of a boom, get the audits done, get them filed with the SEC, get clearance on the Reg A, which is the only comment in the comment letter, was really can't clear the Reg A without getting up to speed on all your filings. So it wasn't like they came up with 15 different things that they wanted to see us address. It was really that we couldn't file that Form 15 that we were using to become alternative reporting. And we just need to address that one issue, and we should be good to go. So very excited about moving that along. I think that it's good to see that Bob Murphy and his company, they've been very understanding with the delay and why, and they're very excited about moving things forward. I know Harry's chewing on his fingernails, wondering what the hell's going on and how quickly can we get to this thing. So I'm very happy to see that take place. As a side note, I think I tweeted out that I was down with bronchitis. I had some kidney stones. I don't really generally delve into my personal stuff, but I had some kidney stones that had to be treated. In the process, they had to intubate me so they could get in with this laser and adjust the kidney stones or get rid of them. Well, that's all out of the way, but the side effect was that I ended up coming down with bronchitis. So I've been a little bit less robust than I normally would be. I think everything is at a point where we're cleared up, good to go, moving forward. I don't see that being an issue. So I think probably this is a good place to jump in and take some questions, because I know that there's got to be a lot of them since we weren't able to make the last presentation due to my being incapacitated with kidney stones. So, Anna?
Yes. Well, sorry to hear about that, David, but glad you're on the mend.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in with the questions, see how many we get through. And this is a long one from Marcy. RGBP appears to be a stellar company with 18 impressive patents that have the potential to truly revolutionize the medical field. That said, there seems to be an underlying factor that isn't widely known among stakeholders. Given the strength of the technology and the vision behind it, one might expect RGBP to have been acquired or significantly funded by now. So would you be open to sharing more about this? It feels like there's a key piece of the puzzle that hasn't been made clear yet. From what Marcy has seen, your dedication to RGBP has been unwavering, which makes the situation all the more intriguing. Please, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think the issue from the company standpoint is in past years, we've done financing that have been dilutive, and it has kept the price somewhat depressed. I think that once we get through phase one, clinical phase one, we should see that the company starts moving in what I consider to be the right direction. And that's moving north, because the market we're addressing, what do we say, Harry? It's like 13 billion?
Yeah, it's a big market. I don't remember the number, but it's in the billions.
Yeah, it's a very large market. So I don't see how you can address that market and not have the price appreciate in your stock. That's my personal belief. It would be laughable if we were still trading at these prices with potentially $1 billion, $2 billion revenue streams or more. So I don't think that who's it, Marcy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think she's far from wrong. I think that getting through phase one, a lot of what she's looking for is definitely on the table.
Well, thank you for that answer. With the rapid advancements in AI, do you believe the patents and technology developed by RGBP remain well positioned for the future? Or is there concern that they may risk becoming obsolete?
Personally, I don't see AI having a huge impact in our science. I don't know. I could be wrong. Harry, I'll defer to you. Do you see any?
No, I think the science is really, really solid. I personally don't have any doubt about the quality of the science coming out of Regen. The effect that AI will have. I mean, all patents, once you file them, the clock is ticking. That's on every patent by every company in the world. So you can't get around that. But whether AI would change that landscape, I don't see it. I mean, we've patented new chemical structures, we've patented methods that that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's more of a. I guess AI is a neat tool, but it's sort of a random walk with the chemical configurations and things like that. It doesn't necessarily, I'd say it doesn't really dig down to how things really work. So I think we've laid a very solid foundation with the science that we have.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We have a question about when will the trials begin and how long do they take?
Well, the trials, we expect to start shortly after we complete all the cleanup work that we're doing right now for the SEC. So I don't know that I don't know that I have a date that I can sit on the table, but I would say that I believe that we're pretty close to having everything wrapped up that we need to have wrapped up, so we can move forward with the Reg A. And once we're back on track with that, we should be ready to move forward with the clinical trials.
And would you consider issuing another stock dividend to loyal shareholders who have experienced some loss from averaging down at much higher prices over the past years?
I haven't really thought about that. We've had 2 dividends that we've issued out already. And I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm going to have to think about that a little more carefully, just to see what makes sense.
Okay. And how much money has been raised so far for the clinical trials? And how much of an effect do you believe the 0.03 versus 0.04 on the private placement had or will be?
Well, okay, so this has kind of been answered already. We'd raised a bunch of money and then had to send it all back because of this comment letter from the SEC. So, but that money's sitting on the sidelines, and I believe that as soon as we get through the comment letter with the SEC, we should see an abundance of money coming in.
And a question about Root Ventures' role. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, they've been advisors to me in terms of how I can use social media to get my message out. And if you look at I think the question, I think they were issued like something like 600,000 shares times like half a cent. So it's a nominal dollar amount. And it's nominal in terms of what is available out there in the public hands. I think that's a question that probably in the big picture doesn't necessarily impact what we're doing. In the big picture, raising money, getting into the clinical phase 1 is valuable. 600,000 shares to a consultant that's doing something meaningful for me and helping me form kind of the direction that I think we need to go. That's meaningful as well. So that's I don't really have a whole lot to say beyond that.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, can you give an update on any grants you've applied for or will apply for?
Well, at this point, I think the ideal thing is to get into phase 1 with the idea that you're going to have a lot of data, a lot of information that could be used in supporting any sort of grant application. But that being said, we're in a climate right now where grant funding is being withdrawn in a lot of cases. So I don't know that I necessarily want to bank our future on getting grants. That's not the current environment we're in. So we'll be looking at, I'm not saying that we're not going to, but I'm just looking at the practical side of it is that if they're pulling research grants and the funding for the like, it doesn't bode well if you bank your whole future on it.
Can you talk a little bit about the 8K filing, dividends, dissolution, merger, conversion?
That's kind of a required filing just so that we've disclosed everything we need to disclose. I don't see anything that's really lurking out there. It really is just our required filing to be transparent.
Perfect. And if you can talk a little bit about the Reg A, is it currently the method you're using to raise capital? And are you doing any buyback of shares?
Well, you're not going to buy back shares if you're trying to sell shares to raise money to do the research. But, and I'm not trying to be glib about that. So, once, as I've said, once we've cleared things up with the SEC, we can sell the Reg A. The institutions that we're dealing with all are very much interested in what we're doing. So I don't see that being a deleterious event. The issue on the table is that we need to raise the capital. They're interested in the science that is moving things forward, and therefore they want to participate. And so the Reg A would make sense as opposed to doing a bunch of debt offering. I'm not opposed to debt offering if it makes sense, but I don't really want to get into a situation where you get into a death spiral convertible debt. That's not helpful. In which case, it makes more sense to do an equity offering.
Can you talk about how much has been raised to date? And do you anticipate much more Reg A funds will be needed?
Well, like I said, we had to send all the money that we got back to the shareholders while we rectify this issue with the SEC in their comment letter. I would expect that we'll see what we need to see fairly shortly once we've cleared things up with the SEC. And this is not a major deal. It's just somewhere along the line, we had an S8 offering that had been sitting out there for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 8 years. That should have been closed out, apparently, and wasn't. Therefore, they wouldn't let us withdraw from being fully reporting. Which, from it's an interesting standpoint that we're in a position now that we can be back fully reporting without having to file a Form 10. We just have to clean up the financials.
And
well, let me quickly point out, for everybody's information, I'm the one writing the checks out of my own pocket to do this cleanup work that we have to do for the SEC. So if anybody's anxious to see this thing get done, it's me.
And you can close with this, David. Give us the viewers a pitch or your closing statements as the main reason to focus on Regen BioPharma. What are the strongest sales points?
Well, I think the strongest sales points from where I sit is, as Harry alluded to, the chemotherapy is such a big part of the way we treat cancer. And the problem is, and I think everybody that is at home watching this, they all know somebody who's been impacted by the side effects of chemotherapy, whether it's bone marrow issues, hair loss, all sorts of nasty sort of things that impact the person's health, just to combat the chemotherapy, which is used to combat the cancer. What we're trying to do is put us in a position where we can help treat patients so that they're not experiencing all these maladies of cleaning up the patient's lifestyle due to its complications of chemotherapy. Is that a fair statement, Harry?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really where it sits.
Perfect. Well, thank you both for this presentation and answering these questions so directly. We appreciate it. We would love to continue on, which I think we will. We'll continue to have these conversations.
Well, I appreciate it. This is a great forum for us because I like to be able to answer questions that people are sitting back there wondering. They're waiting for press releases or something that they can, grab a hold of. I enjoy the opportunity to have a conversation with my shareholders and to keep them informed as much as possible. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. And that's really why we had today's conversation. Everybody needs to know the cadence has shifted a little bit, but it's not a big deal.
Perfect. Well, thank you both. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully next month.
All right. Thank you very much. Take
All right,
care.
everyone.
Enjoy.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Bye.